Leo, I need you to sit with this for a moment because what I am about to tell you is not exaggeration. It is a direct reflection of what is currently forming around your life. Somewhere in the timeline of what is coming, you already won. Not in the sense of a literal lottery ticket, though for some of you that kind of surprise is not off the table, but in the deeper sense that something you have been quietly hoping for, working toward, or praying about has already been decided in your favor. You simply have not received the confirmation yet. The outcome exists. It is simply making its way to you. And Leo, once it arrives, you are going to look back on this exact stretch of time and realize you were living inside your own turning point without fully recognizing it. Think about the last several months, honestly. There have likely been moments where you gave everything you had and still felt like the results were lagging behind your effort. You showed up consistently, led when leadership was needed, stayed generous even in situations where generosity was not returned equally, and kept believing in your own worth even when outside validation felt slow to arrive. That gap between effort and visible reward can feel discouraging over time, almost like shouting into a room and hearing nothing back. But Leo, silence is not the same as absence. What you have been building has been accumulating quietly, the way winnings accumulate before the final number is announced, and this period is when that number finally gets called, with your name attached to it. Let me ground this in something real, because a shift this significant deserves more than a vague promise. Picture someone who spent years applying for a specific type of role, getting close but never quite landing it, watching other people seem to get lucky breaks while their own effort produced nothing visible. Then, almost without warning, a position opens up that nobody else even knew to apply for, a role created specifically because someone remembered this person's work from years earlier and thought of them immediately when the opportunity arose. Within weeks, that person is not only hired, they are hired at a level higher than anything they had previously applied for, essentially skipping several steps they assumed they would have to climb slowly. When people describe moments like that afterward, they almost always say the same thing. It felt like winning something they had stopped actively expecting to win. That is the exact texture of what is currently forming around your life. This period carries a very specific kind of luck, the kind that rewards people who already put in consistent, quiet effort over a long stretch of time, rather than people who simply got fortunate without any groundwork behind it. That distinction matters, because it means what is coming to you is not random chance. It is a delayed payout on effort you have already made. Sometimes effort you made so long ago you had nearly forgotten about it. Something you did months or even years back, a decision, a connection, a moment where you chose integrity over convenience, is quietly maturing into something valuable right now, even though you have not yet seen the return. Money deserves direct attention here, because this is one of the clearest ways this winning energy tends to show up. If you have been managing tight finances, stretching your resources further than you would like, prepare for that tension to loosen, and to loosen with real speed rather than a slow trickle. This could look like a payment finally arriving that you had nearly written off completely. It could look like a financial opportunity appearing that you were not actively searching for, someone offering to compensate you generously for a skill you already have, a return on an investment of time or resources you made previously, finally paying off, or a straightforward increase in your income through a raise, a new opportunity, or an expanded role that pays significantly more than what you currently earn. Whatever exact shape it takes, the underlying theme stays consistent. Financial relief that arrives with noticeable force rather than the gradual pace you may have grown used to expecting. I also want to speak honestly about why this might feel hard to believe right now. If you have experienced disappointment before, situations that seemed promising but ultimately fell apart, it makes complete sense that part of you hesitates to fully believe something this significant is actually approaching. That hesitation is not a flaw. It is a form of self-protection built from real past experience. But Leo, this period asks you to gently set that guard down, not recklessly, but enough to actually let good news land when it arrives instead of immediately searching for the catch that isn't there this time. There is also a theme of being chosen running through this period, being selected, remembered, or specifically sought out rather than having to fight your way into an opportunity through sheer competition alone. This might look like someone recommending you for something without you even asking. It might look like an opportunity finding its way to you through a connection you had almost forgotten. Pay attention to moments where something seems to arrive with unusual ease, because that ease is often a sign that this is exactly the kind of win currently forming around your life. One that meets you rather than one you have to chase down entirely on your own. As we move into the second part of this message, I want you to hold on to the image of a result that has already been decided, simply waiting for the right moment to reach you. In part 2, we are going to talk about exactly which areas of your life this winning energy is most likely to touch first, how to recognize the early signs before it fully arrives, and what specific situations involving your career, your finances, and your relationships are about to shift because of it. Let's go deeper into this, Leo, because a shift this significant does not touch every part of your life in the same order, and I want you to know precisely where to look so you recognize the early signals the moment they appear. One of the strongest areas this winning energy is likely to touch first is your career, particularly situations where you have felt like you were competing hard for something without quite breaking through. If you have submitted applications, proposals, or pitches recently that seem to disappear into silence, prepare for one of them to resurface with a response far more favorable than you originally expected. This is a hallmark of how this kind of period tends to unfold. Quiet for a long stretch, and then suddenly delivering results that feel disproportionately generous compared to what you initially hoped for. Let me offer a grounded example of how this can unfold for a real person. Picture someone who applied for a promotion twice before and was passed over both times, watching newer employees receive opportunities that felt like they should have gone to someone with more experience. Discouraged but still consistent, this person kept showing up fully, refusing to let disappointment shrink their effort. Then, during a company restructuring nobody saw coming, a position opens that did not exist before, one that fits this person's exact skill set perfectly, and because of their consistent track record, they are offered the role directly without even having to formally compete for it against other candidates. That is what winning after a long stretch of near misses actually tends to look like in real life. Not a single dramatic stroke of luck, but consistent effort finally intersecting with the right unexpected opening. Money continues to carry significant weight throughout this period, and I want to be specific about how it might unfold for you. Watch closely for financial news that feels disproportionately positive compared to what you were expecting, a bonus larger than anticipated, a client or employer offering more than you initially asked for, or a financial matter resolving in a way that leaves you with more than you thought you would recover. If you have entrepreneurial pursuits, a business, a creative practice, freelance work, this period favors deals and opportunities landing that exceed your original expectations rather than simply meeting them. Pay attention to any offer that arrives and initially feels too generous to be real, because during this window, that generosity is very likely genuine rather than something to be suspicious of. Relationships deserve real attention here too, because winning energy this significant rarely stays confined to career and money alone. If you have been hoping for someone in your life to finally show up the way you have always deserved, prepare for that hope to be met directly. This could look like a partner making a gesture or a decision that finally proves the depth of their commitment. If you are single, this is a strong period for meeting someone who feels like an unexpected gift rather than another person you have to convince to value you properly. Watch for connections that develop with surprising ease this month. Relationships where you do not have to perform or prove your worth constantly, because that ease is often a sign that you are encountering exactly the kind of relational wind currently forming around your life. I also want to prepare you for something important, because not every part of this winning period is going to feel comfortable immediately. Sometimes receiving something significant means first releasing something that was taking up space meant for it. If a situation, a job, or even a relationship ends somewhat unexpectedly this month, do not immediately interpret that as bad luck. Interpret it instead as clearing space for the win that is actually meant to occupy that spot in your life. Holding tightly to something smaller often prevents something larger from being able to fully arrive. There is also a theme of visibility and reward running through this period, being recognized and compensated in a way that finally matches the effort you have quietly put in over a long stretch of time. This might look like public acknowledgement for work you have done, a financial reward tied directly to a project you led, or simply people around you starting to treat your contributions with the seriousness they have always deserved. Do not brush this recognition aside when it arrives, even if it feels slightly unfamiliar to receive that much credit at once. Let it land fully, because it is confirmation that what you have been building has not gone unnoticed, even during the stretches when it felt like it had. As we move toward the final part of this message, I want you to hold on to the sense that this winning period is not a distant possibility. It is already forming, already gathering momentum from everything you have set into motion over recent months. In part 3, we are going to talk about exactly how to position yourself to receive this fully, the mindset shifts that determine whether someone claims their win completely or accidentally lets it slip past them, and I will leave you with something clear and actionable to carry with you the moment this video ends. Here is something that rarely gets discussed when people talk about sudden good fortune, Leo, and it might be the most important thing you take from this entire message. Winning something is only half the process. Actually claiming it fully is the other half. And a surprising number of people unconsciously sabotage that second part. Some people, when something significant finally goes their way after a long stretch of near misses, instinctively brace for it to be taken back. They downplay the win to the people around them. They wait for a catch that never actually comes. They hesitate to fully step into their new reality because trusting good fortune feels risky after disappointment taught them to expect less. This period asks something different of you. It asks you to claim your win completely instead of quietly waiting for permission to believe it is real. Let me offer a real example of how this plays out. Picture someone who finally receives a significant financial opportunity after years of near misses, a large client, a generous offer, a long-awaited payout. Their first instinct is disbelief, an urge to underpromise to everyone around them just in case it somehow falls through at the last moment. That hesitation does not stop the win from being real, but it does limit how fully that person allows themselves to enjoy and build upon it. The people who use a moment like this to genuinely transform their circumstances are the ones who allow themselves to feel real joy immediately, who tell people the good news with confidence instead of quiet caution, who trust that this time the outcome is exactly as good as it appears to be. So here is what I want you to actively do as this winning energy continues building around you. First, when good news arrives, resist the instinct to immediately search for hidden downsides. Let yourself simply feel the excitement before your mind starts looking for problems that likely are not there. Second, tell someone you trust about what is unfolding, rather than keeping it quietly to yourself out of superstition or fear, because speaking your wins out loud tends to reinforce your belief that they are real and lasting. Third, watch closely for moments where you catch yourself minimizing your own good fortune to make others comfortable, and gently correct that instinct, because this period rewards fully owning your win, rather than shrinking it to seem more modest than the reality actually is. I also want to give you something practical, not just an internal mindset shift. If there is an opportunity currently sitting in front of you that you have been hesitant to fully pursue, out of disbelief that it could actually work out. Pursue it now with full effort rather than half commitment. If there is a financial step tied to this period, negotiating better terms, requesting what you are actually worth, accepting an offer you have been second guessing, take that step now rather than continuing to talk yourself out of it. If there is someone who has expressed genuine interest in helping you, whether professionally or personally, let them help rather than insisting on doing everything alone out of old habit. Trust that finding this message today was not accidental. Out of everything competing for your attention, you found your way here right as this winning period is beginning to reveal itself, and that timing matters. Because it means part of you was already sensing that something significant was close, even before you had a clear way to describe it. The version of you on the other side of this period, financially steadier, more confident, more fully in possession of what you have already earned through consistent effort, is closer than it currently feels, and the way you choose to meet this moment, claiming it fully instead of doubting it, is what determines how completely that version of you gets to arrive. Before you go, I want you to do one simple thing to anchor this energy. If this message feels like it is speaking directly to something building in your life right now, comment the words, "I claim my win," below this video, and let that be your personal declaration that you are ready to fully accept what has already been decided in your favor, instead of quietly waiting for proof before you believe it. I would also genuinely love to know if you already sense this winning energy building in your own life. Where do you feel it most strongly? Your career, your finances, your relationships, or simply a growing sense that something good is on its way? Share it in the comments, because your answer might be exactly what someone else scrolling through today needs to read. And if this message resonated with you, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you never miss the next message that reaches you at exactly the right moment. Leo, you already won. The only thing left now is for that win to finally catch up with you.